This video is sponsored by Rockland Flooring. Visit our website for more information.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Fleet Equipment's On the Road. Today we are back from the road. Well, I'm not, but Jason Morgan, our editor, is. We go every year to the TMC annual meeting and exposition. I was not there, Jason was, so he's going to tell me all about it. Jason, how are you?
Hey, Alex, good. Back from the road.
Yeah.
TMC was great. Really busy too, and I think probably one of the more active shows here in the post-pandemic era.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So catch me up on the news from the show. What was going on?
Okay, I have my notes here. Let's do the data first, because one of the best things about TMC is the data that comes out of it. Fullbay does an annual report of its survey from heavy-duty truck repair shops. So let me run through a couple big notes from there.
Yeah, let's do it.
First, labor rates and technician wages are rising. So labor rates have increased by $10 per hour from early 23 to 2024. Technician wages climbed from $27 to $29 per hour, and the ongoing technician shortage continues to push wages higher. And demand is projected to be 20% higher than expected by 2028. So again, costs are going up there. In that regard, Fullbay noted that shops need to adjust pricing and hiring strategies. Many of them only review labor rates once per year. That's maybe a missed opportunity to align with what the market's actually doing, right? Additionally, 39% of shops reported hiring was harder in 2024. But those offering stool stipends, because remember, technicians have to buy their own tools, right? Typically. Paid time off, health benefits, and more, they do a better job recruiting and retaining technicians, right? One of the fun, let's not say fun, but one of the interesting bullet points that came out of the survey too was the use of AI, which is one thing, and then some fraud issues. So one, AI gaining traction. I think we're seeing, or starting to see how solutions providers are baking AI into their solutions, particularly on the service side. Again, that goes to, people will call it proactive maintenance or predictive maintenance, or, intelligent scheduled maintenance. There's all sorts of different monikers, but AI is kind of leading that. On the fraud side, it is an increasing concern, with 35% of shops reporting fraudulent activity. Stolen credit cards, buying parts, returning them for cash, those kind of things are starting to be seen at the shop, heavy-duty shop repair level. So just kind of some interesting metrics there. I have more. Are you ready for even more data?
Yeah, please.
Okay, because there's two. Fullbay is one, and then Decisiv always does quarterly updates in partnership with TMC. Now, the nice thing is we have an exclusive with Decisiv where we get it every quarter. Talk with Nick Pittenger all the time about it. This is their 2024 Q4 report. So I just talked to Nick about quarter three, 2024 a couple weeks ago. They announced their Q4. Now, it's going to seem a little contradictory, but bear with me. Remember that Fullbay's report is a full year survey, where Decisiv is looking quarter to quarter, right? So again, remember those costs. We heard that technician wages are rising, right? It's really about the technician wages. On the service activity level in Q4, according to Decisiv, service activity increased while costs came down slightly, right? So there's a 5% rise in service activity in Q4, but parts and labor costs fell a little. It dipped. The labor costs dropped for the first time in a long time, decreasing to 1.9% quarter over quarter and 1% year over year. Again, now that's a shorter term look at the larger term Fullbay. Fullbay sees costs rising overall. This was a quarter where, costs are rising, but it came down a little bit. It's kind of like stock market, right? Yeah. It goes up, comes down. The 1% dip it's slight, and we'll have to see if that's a growing trend over time. I'm almost through. Bear with me here. Transmission costs continue to climb. One of my favorite things to track. AMT service is actually happening. I remember like 5 years ago when we were trying to write, maybe 6, because that puts us pandemic. When we were trying to write about transmission AMT service, the service advice was leave it alone. It's because they were still new in the market, still pretty young there in their life cycle. They're starting to get older. it's starting to see a lot more service on both the service and parts side. And also regional costs are starting to pop up. The West remains the most expensive region, while Canada is the least expensive. Flexible routings, scheduling maintenance, that kind of thing. If you can put it in the Midwest or Canada, you're probably going to reduce operating costs first, getting your trucks fixed out west. That's it. That's a lot of data, but a lot of good info from those guys and teams.
Yeah, definitely. That's always a good way to keep up with what's going on, kind of take a look at the trends.
Right.
Anyone who's interested, FE Unscripted, Jason interviewed Decisiv about their data, so you can see more about that.
Right. Thanks for the plug.
Yeah. So what else was going on at the show? What were people talking about?
There are a couple trends. I have to first shout out though to Jim Arnold. Jim Arnold is the Fleet Business Automotive Manager at UPS. He was the inaugural recipient of the Fleet Management Mentorship Award presented by Valvoline Global, which they also did in partnership with Fleet Equipment. So we typically haven't given out awards before in the past. This is a new program where we're really highlighting those fleet managers that are growing the next generation of fleet managers. Jim Arnold, super nice guy, does really great work, really kind of bridging the gap between you need all that technical background knowledge that a fleet manager needs, plus dealing with all the new technology and management systems that they have to know. So that was probably one of my favorite moments of the show, being able to give the award there. And again, super nice guy, does great work.
Yeah, congratulations to him for that.
Yeah, really, really cool. So I think there are three main trends that we saw at the show. The first, everyone's going to ask, well, what's the news on EV, right? New administration, we've seen some regulation rollback, and I think that the EV naysayers of the past couple of years would go, ha, told you so, everyone stopped talking about it. I guess that's true. There was a decreased presence of EV on the show floor this year at TMC. Less of conversation there, but I think what it's also done is it really has widened the scope for larger decarbonization conversation, larger conversation about emissions reduction in general. You look at Volvo trucks, they announced that they have a new D13 variable geometry turbo engine. When they plus, of course, I buried the lead on that one, the new VNR, their regional haul truck, right? That's the second trend. I'll get to that in a minute. But with the new D13 VGT and the new VNR, when they put up their efficiency gains, right? So they're saying the new VNR gets 7.5 fuel efficiency improvement over the previous VNR spec. They also laid out how much emissions, right? The actual emissions savings of that vehicle engine combination. You walk into some other booths, you go and you talk to Cummins, right? And they got the X15N natural gas. They got the new X15 GHG 27 engine coming down the line. They're also putting fuel efficiency savings in terms of overall emissions savings, right? So I think there's a larger conversation that's really starting to happen about broader decarbonization and how to reduce emissions in a practical way, not a light switch, buy a new powertrain.
Right. And, people still have, fleets, corporations still have these sustainability goals that they want to meet, these emissions goals. They're not going to change those, overnight like that. So, yeah, it's definitely something that will still be happening regardless of, what might be going on in this administration or that administration.
Right, yeah, and we were going to see the narrative shift a little bit just because the EV offerings are out and they'll continue to reiterate on those. We will see some new EV launches here soon, wink. But we also have new engine standards coming down the line for 2027. So there's going to be new engine launches. Diesel is there. That's the truck everybody's buying, right? So understanding that a little bit. The other part of that, I mentioned the VNR, a regional haul truck. Regional haul was a larger conversation at TMC this year. Maybe driven by Volvo's huge announcement. I mean, they had one of the most bombastic presentations, not just at TMC, but also just in general. Giant curtain all around the booth that they dropped. Very cool. But regional haul was definitely a focus. Not just with them, but you walk into a tire manufacturers, lots of regional haul tire announcements coming out of TMC. And this idea of fleets shifting to more regional-like applications, driven a lot by driver shortage. Drivers want to be home. There's less interest from the driver side of being gone for weeks at a time. They typically want to be home more often than not. So we are seeing some growth in that segment. And then finally, it's not TMC if you're not talking service. Lots of service data conversation. I think what we're starting to see there too, two things on that. One, tire data continues to try to find its way toward telematics. There was a conversation or an announcement between Continental and Samsara, who have partnered to streamline fleet management with the integration of Continental's Conti Connect digital truck tire monitoring platform with Samsara's fleet platform, so you can integrate those two there. Again, there are a couple. Aperia comes to mind in terms of truck tire telematics and managing tire. But again, getting that tire data into those telematics dashboards, still moving in that direction holistically. Again, Aperia has been there for quite some time. Continental is making strides with their integration. And then the other thing is, I think we're starting to see trailer service telematics start to come into its own. There's a lot of different components on a trailer. You think of the brakes, the suspensions, the monitoring, the GPS, right? On the tractor side, that's all contained and run by the engine ECUs, and there's lots of vertical integration there that makes getting those data solutions to market very quick. On the trailer side, it's still supplier based. We are starting to see the collection of that data. Wabash announced that they're partnering with Decisiv to get trailer service data into Decisiv's service relationship management platform. It's the first trailer service partnership that Decisiv has. And even just personally, I see Decisiv as kind of a service, truck service bellwether on where the direction is going. They have a lot of service locations on the tractor side that they have baked into their service relationship management platform that they integrate with and make that data go to fleet managers from the service and get everybody involved. Now they're getting in the trailer side. I think we're going to see that section grow more.
Yeah. Yeah, and those have always been things that get talked about as, we would like to have more data from this. We'd like to be able to pull tire telematics, trailer data, that sort of thing. And it hasn't quite gotten to the level of the tractor. So.
Yeah, I think I'll just blame myself. I think I'm part of that problem too. When we overgeneralize and you kind of turn into magic, right? But the actual ability to do it and then actually using it and putting it to work, I think is a completely different topic that's really starting to gain some traction right now.
Yeah. So anything else from the show? Anything else you want to share? No,
again, great show. The traffic was solid, busier, I think. It's always a great show, but busier, I think, than the previous years. The press announcements were far more substantial and impactful, I think, here than the previous years. So I think, we're starting to kind of feel like the pre-pandemic era here in this post-pandemic world. So great TMC and excited to go back next year.
Yeah, great. And all these, trends are always good to have for us. We can kind of keep an eye on where the industry's going, and we'll have more about this on the road. So keep it tuned here, and thanks for watching.